Yes, Mr. Musigiri.
Thank you, Commissioners. Commissioner Bolhuis, we are right towards the end of your statement. We are about to start with the topic, allocation of sites to Gubis. That will be at paragraph 27 of your statement. Would you please pick it up from there then?
I will. Thank you, Commissioners. Paragraph 27. Given the issues raised in the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, I need to point out that the very next level under me, while I was the caretaker of APSS, was Director Tsukuru Malachi, who managed the APSS function from a management point of view and the day-to-day running of the function, including management of the security contract in place. Paragraph 28. Regarding the allocation of sites, Director Malachi was required to inform me of any such site allocation to any of the service providers due to operational, financial, and possibly contractual implications. Paragraph 29. While acting as the caretaker of APSS, as described above, specifically during January and February 2025, I was not approached nor made aware of any ad hoc allocation of sites to any security company, including Gubis 85 Solutions, Pty Ltd, or any other service provider. In particular, I was not privy to the allocation of additional ad hoc sites to Gubis 85 Solutions, Pty Ltd. As a result, I would not and I do not know the number of sites allegedly allocated to Gubis 85 Solutions Pty Limited, nor the value of the services provided by Gubis 85 Solutions Pty Limited, save to what has already been presented to the Commission through the evidence of Commissioner Revo Spies. Paragraph 30. However, I was not consulted by Director Malachi, nor by the then Senior Superintendent, now Colonel, Dr. K.E. Madiglaba, nor by the then Inspector, now Superintendent/Major, Lebogang Piri, about the allocation of sites in question. Paragraph 31. I reiterate that I have later become aware that during my time, sites were allocated to Gubis 85 Solutions, Pty Ltd, and others without my knowledge and or involvement. I deal with this in detail below.
Thank you, Commissioner. You may proceed under the next topic, delegation of authority and attached responsibilities.
Thank you. Commissioners, H, delegation of authority and attached responsibilities. Paragraph 32, as indicated above, it has come to my knowledge recently that the then Inspector Piri allocated numerous sites to one of the service providers, Gubis 85 Solutions Pty Ltd. The schedule of sites allocated to Gubis 85 Pty Ltd during January 2025 is attached as Annexure SB4, notification for deployment letter signed by Mr. A.L. Piri. Paragraph 33, Inspector Piri was an Inspector, Asset Protection Services. In such a position, he does not ordinarily have the necessary powers and or delegation to allocate sites to any service provider. Paragraph 34.
So before you proceed, as Inspector, Asset Protection Services, what are his functions and responsibilities or powers even?
On that level, Madam Commissioner, and in the attachment where we look at the job description of a generic inspector, it is a low-level supervision position. So I would then assume that he would have exercised supervisory role over junior personnel. it's not a management position, it's a entry-level, supervisory level.
But supervising the juniors that is supervising, what functions do they perform? I mean, I assume he doesn't supervise across the board, this in the TMPD or even in the APSS. There are certain functions that are performed by the juniors that he's supervising.
Yeah, I don't know his exact functions in APSS or what his functions was at that time, but it would have coincided with that level. So if a supervisory role on that level, he would have had to exercise those powers over junior members, and that would have then included security guards. But I don't have his actual functions of APSS in front of me.
Maybe let me ask the question differently. The powers to allocate sites to service providers, is that a power that is reserved for management level?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And you say he wasn't management at the time? Thank you.
Commissioner Bolhuis, now that you've seen these documents in SB4, it is 42 allocations over a space of 2 months, running into millions of rands allocated to one company. Now that you've seen this, so you can just have a quick look at it from page 67 to 109 of file 1. Now that you've seen it, what do you have to say about it?
Commissioner, it is clear that it's irregular and it was completely illegal to do so, and that the person that allocated those sites, Mr. Piri, implicated, had no authority to do so. I believe he will be in front of the Commission soon to answer to those things. As indicated before, the day-to-day running and management of APSS and management of the contract was duly the function of Director Tsukuru Malachi, and could have never been delegated, in my view, to such a junior person to allocate sites. And never was these sites indicated to me, and I became knowledgeable of that after the fact.
I don't want to state this as a fact yet because we're still investigating and we're still to hear from the other witnesses. But looking at this, it shows me how easy it is for outsiders to capture a municipality and basically have a blank check as far as municipalities' funds are concerned, because there's no supervision. Somebody who's not authorized to send security guards to sites in a space of a month from the 14th of January until 13 February 2025. It's a space of a month. He signs this, and it's 42 of them. And the money involved is millions of rands. It's not thousands, it's millions of rands of public funds.
I agree with you.
So somebody must account for this.
I totally agree with you. And if I may comment on that, yes, as I said, I totally agree with you, and someone must account, or many, or whoever needs to account. And I remind you of what the Chief of Police also mentioned, that these things must be further investigated and will be investigated to determine what needs to happen. But you are 100% correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Bolhuis, can you then continue? I think you were dealing with paragraph 34, which will deal with it's a summary of Annexure SB4. So could you continue then from 34 downwards?
I can do that. Thank you, Commissioners. Paragraph 34. It is clear from Annexure SB4 mentioned above that Mr. Piri is a signatory, issued notification letters to the directors of Gubi's 85 Solutions Pty Ltd in terms of which TMPD purportedly allocated various sites to Goobies 85 Solutions Pty Ltd for the provision of security services. Such notification letters can be summarized as follows. 34.1. The first batch was issued on 14 January 2025, effective from 15 January 2025. 34.2. The second batch was issued on 21 January 2025, effective on the same day. 34.3. The third batch was issued on 13 February 2025, effective from 15 February 2025. And 34.4. Each notification letter mentioned the name of the allocated site, number of security officers to be deployed, number of patrol vehicles, and monthly cost per site. Then paragraph 35 continues. It would then appear that during the period of 14 January to 13 February 2025, Inspector Piri allocated 40 sites to Goobies 85 Solutions Pty Ltd to the value of 14,101,520 Rand and 89 cents. The schedule of invoices by Goobies 85 Solutions Pty Ltd during the said time is reflected in Annexure SB5 attached above.
Commissioner, I counted 42, so maybe my counting is incorrect, but 67 to 109 gave me 42, so.
It might explain the other two. This one might be attributed to Madihlabe, Commissioner. Yeah.
Can we add to your statement then that the sites allocated to Goobies were 42? And out of that 42, Piri was responsible for 40. I
Okay.
think that's a more accurate statement.
Yes, we can do so. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Apologies for that. Paragraph 36, I repeat that during January 2025 to February 2025, as the caretaker, I never allocated these sites to Goobies 85 Solutions Pty Limited, nor did I instruct Inspector Piri to do so, nor did I give him permission or the delegated authority for him to do so. Paragraph 37.
Before you do that, the reporting line, so you are the caretaker.
Yes.
And then who is on a daily basis? I think you say Malachi.
Malachi is the director, the manager over the whole function, yes.
Okay. So would it be correct to say that he would have had, if you did not delegate or give Piri this power, Malachi would have had to be the next person to have given him, assuming that Malachi had that power in the first place.
That
He
would be
have
the
been,
assumption,
he would
yes.
have been the one that delegates him, or that gives him the power to do this.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Paragraph 37, in my view, Inspector Piri did not have the power or authority to allocate sites to security service providers. The allocation of sites would have been the function of APSS management, specifically Director Malachi, who was the director in charge of APSS function to allocate such sites.
Just to be clear, if Malachi, Director Malachi were the one that had authorized these allocations of ad hoc services, would you take issue, and not so much about budget issues, but the exercise of that power? Would you say he didn't have that power, or even if he had that power, he still needed my approval? Would you have raised issue with that?
I would have a serious issue with that.
And the issue would be what? What would be the complaint?
The issue would be that he is busy allocating operational responsibilities to service providers that might or will have a serious impact on your daily operations, your budget allocations, and contract management. And the fact that he doesn't inform his management of his actions, which is expected of him to do so. So that will be a serious issue, and that would be an issue for further internal investigation and possible disciplinary steps.
I guess what I'm asking is this a matter that was within his powers to do? He may well have been, let's say, reckless at best to carry on doing it and exhausting the budget as it turned out to be. And he may have had a misstep, assuming all is innocent, a misstep not to inform you when he should have informed you. So I'm putting those as innocent facts. If that were so, would he have a good answer to say, but this was a matter that's within my powers? I could do this, I could allocate ad hoc services or deployments without reference to my superior.
I believe it is in his powers to allocate such sites, but I don't believe it is proper for him to do it in isolation from the department and as his direct supervisor, and because of what I've explained before, the implications of such allocations or what might happen, it would have been his duty to at least consult and report it to top management. But as he was the day-to-day, the manager managing the whole process plus the contract, it would be in his ambit to allocate sites.
Maybe finally, if these allocations were made within budget and there was no picture that we have now, which is Goobies being favored, appears to have been favored because they got the chunk or the bulk of these allocations. If those were not issues, let's say there was fair distribution amongst Goobies, Triotic, I think is the other? Triotic, and there's another company, a third company whose name I don't remember. If there had been a fair distribution and all of that was done within budget, the Watchman Services budget, you would not have an issue that he made those allocations. Would you have an issue if he made those allocations and did not inform you or seek your approval even?
I would still have a serious issue with him.
Okay.
And look into the issue. Either if it was an innocent mistake, rectify it, put a management principle in place. If it was done deliberately and it can be proven, I would take up disciplinary steps against him as the manager, because the adding on of additional sites, whether, let's say for argument, as you state, Madam Commissioner, that it would have still been in budget and all of that, and fair distribution, it places an additional burden on that division and on the operational capacity, and it could in future lead to further challenges, such as miscommunications, such as non-transparency, maybe even AG findings. In my logical thinking, it would be improper for any manager in any organization, in any type of work, to allocate additional operational responsibilities with financial implications, even though there's budget, and not inform the organization itself. And in that case, it is the next line of supervision.
Yes.
Because it defeats the purpose of the collaboration we have as departments and heads of departments and senior personnel of departments with service delivery departments, to ensure that for the right reasons, ad hoc services are allocated to water, electricity, or whatever the case might be. And that would have then been in the dark.
Okay. Thank you.
Deputy Chief, where do we find provision for Mr. Malachi's power to make the allocations?
Commissioner, this is it stems from the level that he occupies. He's the director, the highest ranking official in APSS. He's responsible for, and it was commonly known, as we received the function back from the city manager, it was commonly known and understood that Director Malachi was the man, the person that ran APSS, that managed the day-to-day running, managed the contract. So if you are asking, was there a specific document penning this down?
Yes, that's
No,
exactly.
there is no such document, but it was commonly known and commonly expected. And if you also look, which I don't have in front of me, but if you look at his job profile and job description, it would clearly indicate management responsibilities to that of APSS.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Chair would have also noticed from the documents that initiated this entire tender that Malachi would have been the person, a contact person through and through, and the custodian, so to speak, of this document from the very first advertisement. But it might well be that it will be canvassed with him tomorrow when he comes in terms of the legislative powers where he sources that power to allocate. But it has been common cause that he has been the ultimate responsible person, even when this function was moved between different units. Now, Commissioner Bolhuis, just to round off the point, as was canvassed with you by Commissioner Bolhuis, the Commission this morning had a couple of service-level agreements that were signed by Commissioner Spies. But it was very clear that in those documents, it was very clear on the face of it that he was signing on behalf of Commissioner Faro. So that's clear that it is a delegated power. Now, I want you to have a look at page 67 of the panel in front of you. It's one of the notification for deployment. Keeping in mind what I've just said to you, now this is just one of the notices signed by Mr. Phiri. And my question to you is that on the face of it, prima facie, does it appear that the power that was exercised there was delegated power?
Through you, Commissioner.
Please repeat that, Mr. Musugidi.
The position to Commissioner Bolhuis is this: the signature there of Mr. Phiri, does it prima facie appear to be a signature exercised as someone who has been delegated the power through somebody? And Chair, I have said juxtaposed to the SLA that we saw this morning, where it was very clear that the person designated for that position to sign those SLA, it was very clear it was Faro, but the signature would have been for Spies. If the chair follows.
During a time when Deputy Chief Spies was acting.
Indeed,
So in that acting capacity, he was effectively the chief.
Yes.
So, yeah.
But even when they were signed, it was clear that even then, he was still acting through under delegation, that 2-day extension that he received as the chief. And that's a question really, well, the proposition I'm putting to Commissioner Bolhuis to say, on the face of it, does it appear
Deputy Chief, do you know or don't you that Mr. Phiri had a delegated power to sign these documents from 67 all the way to the last one, excluding the two signed by Dr. by the doctor. Madlanga, yes.
Thank you, Commissioner. Let me answer this in different parts. Firstly, Mr. A.L. Piri, I can with confidence say he didn't have delegated powers because he couldn't have had delegated powers. If Director Malachi delegated authority downwards, he would have delegated it to Mr. Maslangu, who is the immediate level under him. It's like me. I'm a Deputy Chief of Police. I cannot delegate my authority and accountability to an inspector working in my office. It cannot happen. It would be illegal. It will be nonsensical. It would not be valid.
Yes, continue.
Thank you. So if I look at the face value of this document, there's no indication on this document that Mr. Piri is acting on a delegated authority because it's not stated in the document. Secondly, it is signed in his own information, signature, and level as an inspector. So this document is irregular.
And on what you said on delegation, there are instances where some functionaries do not even have the power to delegate.
Exactly.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Musigidi.
Thank you, Commissioner. I think we're at paragraph 38, in fact, of your statement with reference to Dr. Madlanga. Can you pick it up from there then?
Excuse me. Paragraph 38. I point out that as part of Annexure SB5, referred to above, there are two notification letters that were signed by Dr. K.E. Madlanga, Senior Superintendent, APSS. 39.
Perhaps there, just to keep in mind the question by both the Chair and Commissioner Bolhuis, would you still have the same difficulty with Dr. Madlanga having signed at least those two notices? The same problems you had with Mr. Piri?
I would have exactly the same comments and the same challenge and the same disregard. It's irregular, totally irregular.
You can continue. Thank you.
Thank you. 39, it would appear that Dr. K.E. Madlanga allocated two sites to Gubi's 85 Solutions, Pty Ltd, through notification letters dated 21 January 2025 and 20 January 2025 respectively. These notification letters deployed 24 security officers per site, 2 patrol vehicles for one site, and 1 patrol vehicle for another site. The total value attached to these allocated sites was 1,060,345 rand and 2 cents per month. Then 40, I emphasize that while acting as caretaker, I did not authorize Dr. K.E. Madlanga to allocate the 2 sites to Gubi's 85 Solutions, Pty Ltd, nor did Dr. K.E. Madlanga have authority to allocate sites because such authority lies with the Director, APSS, Mr. Malachi. At no stage has Mr. Malachi informed me that he gave permission for the allocation of these sites and/or that he delegated the allocation of sites to Mr. Piri and to Dr. K.E. Madlanga. 41.
Before you go there, can we then quickly go to Annexure SB5, which is on page 110? Are you there, Commissioner?
I am.
Yes. You would see that document there on top, it says summary of sites allocated to Gubis by Piri. And it mentions the source of this table. What really I want to ask from you, and we can benefit probably from your knowledge, you would notice that, especially on page 1, except for the first 2, all of these notices are dated the same day. And with all of them, the effective date being the 15th of, so they are drafted on the 14th, and the effective date being the 15th of January. And in the next column, you'll see that it's a number of personnel deployed, and then the patrol vehicles, and then the amounts per allocation.
Yes.
My question to you, and it goes on to page 2 as well, is this plausible, this type of allocation done by one person, essentially in one day, and especially going to these amounts? Is it plausible?
Look, on the look and the first glance of this document, summary document of these allocations, it looks irregular, but I'm not saying that it's impossible to have an emergency situation within the city and you have to make a very quick decision of allocating of sites. But then you would follow the procedure that I have mentioned before a few times. The example was the Klipgat scenario, but it could even be an immediate emergency. You could have, for argument's sake, a piece of infrastructure of the city, and the outside perimeter of such infrastructure received extensive damage from a nature incident, and you must now allocate. Then, if Director Malachi would phone me at home and say, Deputy Chief, we've got this situation, it's urgent, we need to allocate 4 security officers to such and such an infrastructure due to this, and then I can give verbal permission, and the paperwork can follow tomorrow, and the procedures would follow correctly. But to do it in this way, allocating sites by a junior person, and there's no further communication on a high level or an assessment done or a pre-approval done, that's why I say when you look at it, at the look of it, it looks irregular, and we now know this is irregular. I hope that answers your question.
I think my question is a bit more pointed than that. The question is really, the question is this. This allocation, compared to your example of one incident, this what we have here is a situation where deployment cuts across almost all the regions in Pretoria on the same day. You will see, I know you've mentioned Klipgat, there's Moreleta, there's Karina, there's Valhalla, there's Centurion, there's Rayton, there's Eldurus. It cuts across. Hence I'm saying, is it plausible? All in one day, if we accept that ad hoc, it's supposed to be for exact that purpose.
It doesn't seem possible to me. It's impossible. It doesn't make sense. I cannot get my mind around this. I can't think of a scenario where this could be possible.
Just ask to get to the point where Inspector Piri issues that deployment letter. He surely doesn't make the decision himself that this site requires deployment. There has to be a request.
Yes.
From from which, is it a department, is it a unit that generates that request which he would then execute?
Normally, Madam Commissioner, such a request would come from the Service Delivery Department.
Okay.
Be that waterworks, electricity, or whatever the case may be.
Okay, so if this is done properly, this deployment, if it was done properly,
Yes, ma'am.
it would have been generated by that service department, and you would expect to find a record of a request for a deployment to a site.
Definitely, madam.
Yeah.
Everyone in the city, at least on management, senior management level, knew at that stage that Metro Police is the custodian of APSS. It was common knowledge that I was the caretaker. They have access to the Chief of Police. In such a case, the department would internally resolve it with its own group heads and cluster heads, and such a request would come through either directly to Director Malachi, but I would have been copied by the department, and so the Chief of Police, and so the COO, and so maybe the Office of the City Manager and the CFO, because there could be financial implications, like with Klipgat and other examples. So this is totally irregular, unauthorized, not following any standard communication procedure or authority or delegation or any of those
Okay.
whatsoever.
Is it correct, this proposition, that at the very least, you would expect that there was a request to Director Malachi?
Yes.
Let's say you were not copied and all the other people, but because Inspector Period is not, his position is not to receive those kind of requests. They are not directed to
Yes,
him.
definitely not.
Okay, so it would have been directed to Director Malachi, and then assuming all is done properly, he then says to Piri, you go ahead and issue the deployment letter if that were done properly. But at the very least, you expect a request to Director Malachi.
100% correct.
Okay, thank you.
I want to just follow up on this document on page 110. Just have a look at it. It's the same document we are looking at. It runs to page 112, and that's where you have the total figure of 14 million, which also appears on page 10, paragraph 35 of your statement. And my problem with this is that your statement does not reflect the actual amount paid to Gubis arising from this allocation letters. Because if you look at the allocation letters, let's take the one on page 67, for example. Please go to page 67. What they do is they give you the effective date of the allocation and the deployment. And then they give you the total monthly rate, which in that case you see is 406,000. Do you see that?
I do.
So it seems to me that what you have done is you've calculated the grand total in all these 42 allocation letters, and that's how you arrive to your 14 million.
I have to assume that is correct.
And let me tell you
Commissioner.
what my problem with that is. We know that these allocations were only stopped at the end of June.
Yes,
So you must multiply that by another 5 months to get to the actual figure. So what will assist us is actually proof of payment to Gubis arising from these allocation letters, because then we can know how much Gubis was paid. It may be that it is 14 million, but it could be as high as 60 million. Because what you have done here with your calculations is that you've just taken the grand total in the 42 allocation letters, and that grand total gives us 14 million.
yes.
But that's only for 1 month. It's not for the full period when these services were, the ad hoc services were provided.
I understand your concern and your question, Commissioner. I'm giving evidence only on this portion. So what you are asking can be given. but most probably from a supplementary statement by Deputy Commissioner Spies.
Yeah, because what you gave us in paragraph 35 read with these two documents, including the one on page 112,
Yes,
is not the full picture.
I agree. Totally agree, yes.
Thank you.
It's just for that period of time that
It's
I'm
for 1
giv-
month, that's what it is.
Yes,
For
that
1
is
month.
100%.
Let me take you to pages 111 and 112, Deputy Chief. At 111, you will see on the right margin, there are two entries that say Madihlaba signed this notification later, not later. Later is in Latter. So there are two of those entries, one after the other. Do you know what this means? If you've dealt with it, please forgive me. Do you know what this means?
If I understand your question correctly,
Yes.
Commissioner, these are the two out of
These
the
are the two, I assume these are the two by Dr.
Madihlaba.
Madihlaba, yes,
Yes,
yes, yes.
That is
So,
correct.
But what I'm asking is, Madihlaba signed this notification later. What does that mean?
I'm not sure this was prepared.
Chair, I can assist
Yes.
as to what that means, Chair.
Yes.
Perhaps the easiest way, if the commissioners have the first file with them, and the easiest reference I can make, it's on page 22.
22.
I think
So
in the-
that's
in
not
this-
where we have a collection of all these with the one signed by Dr. Madihlaba somewhere in the middle,
No,
something else altogether.
it's specific to the question latter, to the word
Just,
latter.
just a minute.
So the first file, page 22.
Mr. Msikili, the same file, page 84
Yes.
and 85.
Yes, that's correct. And really the latter part, Chair, perhaps it's not even for the witness to answer. It's really what is apparent there, Chair, is that you will see that the notice on the top right is dated 21 January. And then when you go
2025.
2025, and then you'll see that it will say notification for redeployment. Then this correspondence letter serves as a notification for deployment at Reed Nature Reserve, effective from 21st January 2025 at 6 a.m. on a month-to-month basis. Now, Chair will see that at the bottom right, this is where the question is answered. The date there by both Dr. Madihlaba and Khumalo, not this Khumalo, will be the 20th. So that will explain, I think they wanted to say the dates don't match because this date would have been, so this letter would have been signed a day before it was produced, if this notice is anything to go by.
There's the 21st January at the top and against the signatures at the bottom, there's 20 January
Indeed.
2025.
It's something amiss that we don't know what to make of them. I don't think this witness will assist us as well what to make of.
Is it not the effective date of the deployment? Because if you read notification for deployment and then the second sentence after that, effective date from. So it seems to me that those dates reflect not the date when the letter was produced, but the effective date of the deployment.
I accept that, but for the top part, Commissioner Khumalo, of the letter, which is 21st, that's where the anomaly comes. And then it distorts the effective date of the 21st. And I don't think anything for now, at least for this witness, will turn on that, but it might well be that it's something to make of at a later stage, but that's the anomaly that is noted on the table, Chair.
Yeah, I still find it vague.
It is,
Yes.
Chair. And,
All right, anyway, thank you, Mr. Msigidi.
Thank you, Chair.
I said I was taking the Deputy Chief to pages 111 and 112. So I noticed right at the end that what I assume is a reference to what was signed by Dr. Madlanga was subtracted from the total. Maybe there's an explanation in plain sight, but do you want to tell me why this would have been subtracted?
The document, Commissioner, gives the total value in the red part at the end of the column, which is just over 15 million rand. Then it showcases then the deduction of the two that was signed by Madlanga, which is just over 1 million too. And it comes to that 14 million because the heading of this document at page 110 on top would be a summary of sites allocated to Goobies by Piri. So this then gives the total picture of Piri, and then we know the total picture
So
of...
they are
So
subtracted
that is just for that.
Or because the two do not relate to Mr. Piri.
Yes.
It's not about the entire or the full total. All right, okay, thank you.
And Commissioner Bolhuis, while we are there, the Commission know that Mr. Piri has been placed on suspension.
Yes.
And he's facing a disciplinary hearing in relation to this. What do we know about Mr. Madlanga for this 1 million?
I know it's part of an investigation, but that's all I know. I'm not privy to the details of that investigation. I'm not involved with it myself. As far as I know, he's...
Thank you, Commissioner Bolhuis. We were going to paragraph 41 of your statement.
Can I continue?
Please
Thank
do.
you, Commissioners. I'll continue at paragraph 41. In summary, an inspector in the APSS cannot allocate services worth millions of rands to service providers under the Municipal Financial Management Act number 56 of 2003, also known as the MFMA, and Local Government Municipal Systems Act number 32 of 2000, without proper delegation and adherence to procurement protocols. I refer to Annexure SB6, job description of a warrant officer, regional policing, which is a generic job description for a warrant officer, in brackets inspector, it's the same level, within the department. Mr. A.L. Piri functioned on this level, but I have given further explanation on that already. In any case, I'll continue with 42, apologies, Commissioners. Similarly, a senior superintendent in the APSS cannot allocate services worth millions of rands to service providers without specific delegated authority to do so. I further refer to Annexure SB7, job description of a senior superintendent regional policing, which is a generic job description for the level. Dr. K.E. Madlanga functioned on this level. 43, it is therefore my view from the above that Gooby Solutions Pty Ltd was improperly allocated sites between January 2025 and February 2025.